And here we go again. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion on this Tuesday morning. When you go back to Monday, kicking off the week, and we kicked off the week and the month yesterday after a monstrous month in July. That was just absolutely outstanding performance. Not the greatest start yesterday, but nonetheless, we started a little bit lower for the major indices. We started to actually peak early, and then we just seemed to pass back and forth a little bit. That roller coaster ride that we've had in the past, that was on board once again, but in a very, very tight range. So it wasn't nearly as volatile as what we had been seeing. We did tease that 33,000 level when we did jump up higher for the Dow. Didn't get through it though. And then we pulled back, finished the day down about 46 points. NASDAQ, kind of the same story. We had that movement, a little bit of down, a little bit of up. It was back and forth a little bit, primarily down, but still nothing huge, but finished down about 20 points on the day. And the S&P finished down about 12 points or something like that. We look at volatility. Now, volatility had been dropping, seeing a little bit of a rise back in volatility. It's still in the low 20s, but off of that 21 level, here we are yesterday, actually finished just under 23, 2280. Volumes were decent, not great. 37.5 million option contracts trading. I wanted to take a quick look. So the July average was right about there, about 37 million per day. And so there we are with August. But we still continue, when you look at the year-to-date average, a little bit over 40.5 million contracts per day. So we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown in July, a little bit of a slowdown start to August. We'll see if that continues as well. But it is summertime. I've heard more and more folks talking about, well, we've gotten through what many people were looking through for in terms of the major earnings that were coming out. And now it continues, and there's still plenty of names to come, but you've got Apple out of the way. You've got Amazon out of the way. You've got a lot of those big names, so the banks and everything else. And so it starts to slow down a little bit. You get into August, people are looking for some of that vacation time maybe before school starts. That's been the trend in the past. We'll see if that holds up now as well, because we did have a nice infusion of a lot of option paper at times over the last week and a half or so. But when you still look at the July average, definitely about 3 million, maybe 4 million short of the average. On top of all that, crude still trading right near that 94 level. The two-year and the 10-year, the twos and tens, not a whole lot of movement there, but well underneath that 3 level that we've been talking about. We would normally have been seeing a nice big move to the upside when we get there, but that has not played out just yet. Maybe we'll see a little bit of that. I talked about crude. How about nat gas? After that unbelievable run to the upside, it continues that drop each and every day. Finished actually right around 820, and today I think we're a little bit lower than that. When we look at the sectors, it was energy that was off about 3% early on, closed down about 2%. What really were the areas that stood out? It was staples, I think, consumer discretion a little bit to the upside, kind of balancing out what we were seeing to the downside. And with that balance, that's why we had those small moves that we were seeing in the major indices yesterday. We also had movement, though, from a strength perspective. Take a look at Boeing, take a look at American Airlines, and then the semiconductors, names like AMD, Intel. You had a little bit of movement in NVIDIA as well. Home Depot, Lucid, you get the idea. And some of that conservative side or the staple side, you've got the Procter and Gamble's, you've got names like Colgate. Those kinds of names were the leadership names. Sort of gives you a little bit of an intel on what really the markets looked like yesterday. In terms of yesterday, if you watched our John and I with the Rebel's Edge yesterday, you know a little bit about Royal. We talked about Royal Caribbean. Those cruise ships continue to be under pressure. Royal absolutely was under pressure yesterday. Big bond out there, $900 million getting raised. There's a lot of different issues. There's still quite a bit of debt out there as well. So there's a lot going on. And there we still, when you look at where those names are, even going back to the pandemic, we are not that far off some of those pandemic lows for some of the cruise ships. It seems like we've had this great resurgence and people are going on cruises, but when you really look at some of the numbers, the debt levels that they've got right now, they just haven't been able to get out of there. So that's why you see names like Carnival and Royal yesterday under a little bit of pressure yesterday. We also had pressure on the CBOE. That was a little bit surprising, although we, as I say, when we look back to July, a little bit slower when we look at the options. Freeport McMoran was some strength there. or weakness there. There was also some weakness coming from certain parts of the energies, particularly we look at some of those beta names like a Baker Hughes, Halliburton, Pioneer, those names under a little bit of pressure. PDD, JD, when you look at those, now I've been talking about those for a while now, and it seems like we've had a lot less of that back and forth and a lot more of some of that selling pressure. You'll see some of that when we talk about some of those ETFs from China as well a little bit later. Might even have one for unusual. We'll see about that. Earnings do roll on, however, and we've got a lot. Before we jump to that, actually, at the end of the day today, at the market close, and myself, AJ Monty, this guy is unbelievable. Some people think he's a wizard when it comes to what he knows about the charts, the technicals, and all of that. He's going to be showing you how we use those charts, how he uses those charts, and some of the swing trading that we do in the options world. All you've got to do is sign up by going to marketrebellion.com. Then go to register. You'll register. It's today. It's right after the close. And if you can't make it, still register. That can get mailed out to you as well. So that's something that'll be very exciting. That's right at the market close. That's myself and AJ. We'll be hitting it. Should be pretty fun. In terms of today, what are we seeing? Well, there's a lot of politics out there. Pelosi and her trip and everything. And everybody's very nervous. Market's a little bit nervous. The markets were down about 200 points and about 125 points for the NASDAQ. When we look at the Dow itself, just kind of slowly been leaking down and leaking down. We were down as much as 330 points. We did get off of that. Last I looked before coming on here, down about 280 points. NASDAQ, it's cut their losses in half. It was down about 60 or 70 points. Was down, as I say, in the pre-market, about 125 points. Crude, hanging around those same levels, 2s and 10s, around those same levels. I will point out the 10-year, though, 256. That's pretty interesting because it wasn't that terribly long ago. We were well into the low 3s and having that big surge to the upside. Well, we've had a pretty big surge to the downside as well. Natural gas, as I mentioned, down about 6% today, underneath 8 after that big run up towards 10. Wheat, corn, soybeans, all lower today. So when we talk about inflation and we look now, we're seeing a little bit of an adjustment, nothing huge, but a little bit of an adjustment off of some of that. We look at the volatility index at 24. Bitcoin been falling a little bit after hitting that 24,000 level again. And here it is back underneath 23,000 at 22,700. Materials down about 1% today. Financials were down 1%. They got a little bit better. That was helping the Dow just a little bit. Industrials, the same thing, down about 1%, got a little bit better. Although technology did slip a little bit further, getting down about 1%, but not everything's in the red today. We actually have consumer discretion. It was looking okay, down about 0.5%, but seemed like it was moving just a little bit. One of those names, Tesla, we'll be talking about that in just a second. And you've got the energy space as well. So there's a little bit of movement that we're seeing, and we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. But in some of these sectors, they're trying to cut some of that back and get maybe into positive territory. We'll see if they can do that. A lot of people talking about the consumer, the health of the consumer. It's kind of interesting when you hear from the malls and those outlet centers, you've got 94% occupancy. That's great. But also understand this, a lot of folks out there are spending a lot more than they're making. So we've got to understand what truly is the health of the consumer and how long can this go? A lot of different issues that've got to get settled out. But before we do that, what are we seeing in terms of other leadership? Look at CF Industries. That's having a great day today. Match is having a great day. Intuitive Surgical, Airbnb. I look at Zscaler. I look at Zoom, having a pretty solid performance. What's not having a great day? TAP, that's Molson Coors, not looking very good at all. Caterpillar definitely dragging on the Dow. You've got names like Schwab, you've got Freeport Mac, Chinese names, again, Baidu and NetEase. Take a look at what's been going on, and that's part of the unusual today, and I'm going to jump right to it right now. Healthcare's been strong, but what's not been strong has been those Chinese ETFs and some of those Chinese names been getting hammered back down. Take a look at a chart of FXI, for instance. July to now, actually, go all the way back year to date to now, but go back to July, you'll see a significant pullback that we have been seeing there. Stock, that ETF underneath that 30 level, actually trading in the 29.50 to 29.70. We did see a buyer that made it very interesting. Maybe there's finally a little bit of a turn. Maybe. We'll see. Buyer of 35,000 of the August 5th, that's Friday, the 31.5 calls, and those were going for only 10 cents. just one recommendation. If you're going to look at this, those going for 10 cents, take a look at other strikes a little bit closer. Sometimes it seems like it makes a little bit more sense to be a little bit closer to where the stock is. That's the way I actually view the options world. I don't always trade exactly what's in front of me and what it was exactly was the unusual trade. Sometimes there are better options out there, gives you an opportunity to kind of select what you'd like to do. All this being said, very, very short term. Remember that, very, very short term. And this is an index that's been hammered pretty far in the last month or so. So just keep an eye on that. What's really been interesting today has been Tesla. Now, Tesla was trading underneath 900. It was in the upper 895, 897, that range. Buyer of 12,000. Again, these expire on Friday of the 900. So they're buying Tesla calls right on top of where Tesla is trading right now. Pretty interesting to see that. 12,000 of those, pretty good sized trade. I'm sure they've added to that since. That was early on. Those options are very expensive. You got to understand that. $14 all the way up to $25 as that stock was moving to the upside. So keep that in mind as well. Absolutely. It is very, very short term in the EV space. We continue to see different names that continue to pop up on the unusual option activity. Another one that I'd keep an eye out on as well, Nikola today with a little bit. That's a little bonus with a little bit of option activity in there as well. So a lot going on, a lot to digest. We're still in earnings season, but it has slowed down a lot as we get past last week. Keep an eye on things. Obviously, that can cause some air pockets at times as well. Less volume, maybe some of those air pockets actually start to bounce in as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. If you didn't understand what I was talking about with some of these various things with the options world, definitely educate yourself. Having that experience, having that education is a key to any contest, but you've got to actually search it out online, wherever you want to go, books, but also here we've got great instructors here at Market Rebellion as well. So look forward to seeing you there. And then hopefully we'll see you this evening with AJ. AJ's a lot of fun. You're going to love it. If you sign up, you got a great opportunity to be a part of that absolute unbelievable and free opportunity to hear what AJ does with the technicals and all of this swing trading. I'm Pete Najarian. Have a great day of trading.